Hi guys, welcome back to the channel for another video. I promise I didn't disappear again. I was meant to be in Bali for just 1 week for a holiday and then got stuck there because I got a stomach flu and then flights were cancelled for like a week, like 4,000 Aussies stuck in Bali. It's not the worst place to get stuck. I was really lucky because I can work from anywhere. But I brought on 4 new coaches while I was over there. So there was a lot of business stuff going on. Then I was sick. Then I was stuck. So thank you for bearing with me. We are back to normal scheduled programming. And it's a really good topic to talk about, which is I got sick, like really stomach sick. I'm not going to go into gross details because YouTube will probably delete my whole channel. But it was the kind of sick where I couldn't be on a plane with one toilet shared by 40 people, if you get my meaning. But I got really, really sick with a stomach virus, which made eating really difficult. And I get a lot of questions, which are kind of along the lines of, I know you recovered, Mia, but what about when? And one of the but what about whens is, what about when you get sick? What about when you get sick with something like a stomach virus, which is obviously going to change the way you eat, which is obviously going to change the way that food feels in your body. And I'm here to answer that question. But before I do, I am running the Conquer Your Eating Disorder Voice workshop at the end of this month. It is a 1-month workshop. There are 5 calls with me, 3 of them Facebook Lives, 2 of them Zoom calls, all 1 hour. So 5 hours with me and an amazing group in a private exclusive Facebook group with a new workbook every single week. It's not going to be like Bible sized. It's just going to introduce you to what we're talking about that week, which is all about helping you to get on top of and resolve eating disorder cognitions, your eating disorder thoughts, your rules, demands, help you to support and facilitate the challenges you want to move through, like fear food challenges, behavioral challenges, challenges with movement or body image. It's our most popular workshop. There's only 2 tickets left. It sold out really quickly, but a couple have become available with people who can't make those dates as of now. If you go to the link in the description box below, there's the timetable of when all of the calls are scheduled and what it involves and where you kind of need to be in your recovery in order to attend. So please come and join us. I'm not going to be running this one for the next little while. It is without a doubt one of the biggest game changers. If you watch any of my videos with former clients, every single one of them says that this skill that we really focus in on, we do other stuff as well, but this dialoguing skill was one of the absolute key factors in why they now consider themselves fully recovered. So please come and check out that course. It equates to paying like $70 a week to be able to do what is kind of like a group coaching course specifically around this amazing dialoguing skill. And as Carolyn Costin says, it's the one skill that she would teach people if she could only choose one. And I have to agree, it's absolutely life-changing. Not just recovery-changing, life-changing. I still use this skill, not with an eating disorder, but just with being a person. So now I can tell you the lovely story of my stomach virus. I was meant to be coming home to Australia. Our flight got cancelled, and luckily it did, because otherwise I would have come down with this virus mid-flight. So there were a bunch of cancellations, Jetstar cancellations. There were 4,000 Aussies stranded, and I was stranded for an additional over a week. I first and foremost want to say I'm not a doctor, so I am only sharing with you my most recent experience of this virus. I'm not telling you to do what I did. The first thing that you should do is go to a doctor, right? The first thing you should do is go to a GP. I'm not saying that if you have the symptoms that I had that you should do what I did. I am talking about this in the context of someone who's recovered, who gets a lot of questions about, well, what do you do when you have the kind of sickness where your appetite's messed up or it hurts to eat or whatever it is. So just to fly through the question of like, well, what did you eat? I ate dry bread, like really dry bread. I ate Pringles and I ate potato chips. The potato chips really hurt my stomach. The Pringles didn't. So I was like, okay, potato chips will save for later. And I ate basically what my normal intake would be, but it just comprised of Pringles and bread. I didn't have really strong hunger signals. It hurt at times to eat, but instinctively I was like, I've had this kind of virus before. I know that I've got to eat. And even if I just eat in small amounts, but as frequently as I can throughout the day. I supplemented that with lots and lots of lemonade and Coca-Cola, non-diet versions, and water. I still had enough of a hunger signal that I was like, I know I am hungry. I know I would be more hungry if not for the fact that my stomach really hurts and I feel nauseous, etc. But it really helped me to stay fueled, and it helped me with the nausea. That and the lemonade was like a godsend. The virus lasted a couple of days. That was really, what I managed for the first day or so. I was then incorporating things like papaya, which is good for you when you have that kind of virus. Ginger, like lots of ginger tea, lots of ginger juice with, other sort of fruit juice that was not too disruptive to my tummy. And resting, lots and lots and lots of resting. The reason I'm sharing this is because I had to think so little about what I actually did. That response that I had to what I needed, what I was going to do, was not this big, scary, calculated, oh my God, in order for me to stay recovered, like I have to make sure that I'm eating X amount, or I have this intake, or, I have to make sure that I'm making up for what I'm not having. Doesn't enter my mind, right? Does not enter my mind. I am all too aware that I have a history of an eating disorder because it's what I do for a living, is to help other people to recover from eating disorders. When it comes to things like this, it doesn't feel like I had an eating disorder. This is all pretty intuitive, right? I know I've got to eat what sounds good right now. Yep, something crispy and salty along with something fizzy and sugary. That's what I feel like. It's not, oh no, if my intake goes below this amount, or if I, throw up because I'm ill, that's going to trigger all this eating disorder stuff. That is not a consideration. That's not something I actually have to think about. And I think that when people are imagining being recovered, they're imagining that there's like not loopholes, but that there might be like these moments where you're really at risk. And I don't think you can underestimate that. No, we aren't people who should be dieting or restricting our food, but if you've recovered and you've worked through all the lessons that you needed to learn about the impact on your brain and your body when you're not eating enough, or when you are demonizing food in your head, or when you are punishing yourself with movement, if you've got to the core of why you believed all that stuff and tried to destroy yourself with all that stuff, I just don't know that you have to be on yourself in any context, that your intuition isn't just this magical, communication between your brain and your body. Intuition is also knowledge, right? So I don't just have this magical signal that comes from my body that says, this is the exact food I feel like in this exact amount. And, my brain goes, thank you for that message. And then I eat it. And then, doves fly out from behind me. My intuition is also knowledge, right? Intuition is a feeling, but it's also, there's some knowledge that goes into it. Here's another example. So that's more of like a physical illness that impacted my hunger cues and, how I felt with food, etc. When I got back from America at the end of 2019, after my dad died, and I had really, really high anxiety, no wonder. And I was, the trauma that I'd experienced was really starting to settle in psychologically. Like I was highly, highly anxious. My mood was starting to become quite low. And mostly because of the anxiety, my appetite just disappeared, right? Now, at no point did I go, oh my God, I'm afraid of food. Oh my God, I can't eat that. Or I just didn't have any hunger showing up, right? I didn't have any different feeling or belief about food. There were no cognitions. It was the same kind of stress-induced lack of appetite that someone with no eating disorder history or no eating disorder predisposition would experience at times of high stress or trauma, etc., right? But I didn't say to myself, well, my anxious intuition is telling me you're not hungry, so I'm not going to eat. It was, okay, my intuition is that I need to take care of myself. My intuition is that I need to apply the knowledge that I have, that I need to eat regularly and adequately to support my brain so that I can be okay mentally and physically, but I'm already going through enough. And if it was a friend of mine who'd just gone through a loss and was feeling anxiety as a result of that trauma, and they said to me, "Oh, I don't have an appetite," I wouldn't say to them, "You have an eating disorder." I would say to them, "That's pretty normal, but you still need to eat regularly and adequately to make sure that you're fueling your brain so that it can heal and you can take care of yourself and you can think rationally and you can be okay," right? Baseline safety net of okay. Doesn't mean they have an eating disorder. Doesn't mean it's going to turn into an eating disorder, but it would be a blend of my intuition, and not just my intuitive eating intuition, but my intuition as a person who knows how to take care of themselves, blending with my knowledge that came from my recovery that, well, if at times of high stress and high anxiety, aka recovering from an eating disorder, one of the answers was to eat regularly and adequately, then that's always the answer, right? That's part of what you learn in recovery, that of course we always need to do this. We need to fuel ourselves and enjoy food as much as we can, in times where we don't have an appetite or where we're sick. But at its very core, it's to keep us safe and to keep us well enough that we can do all the stuff we need to do to make sure that we're okay. Yeah. So I know this is a little bit rambly. It's an extension of an Instagram story I did, but I just wanted to have more of a, catch up chat about that because it's very anecdotal. It's my experience. Like I said, if you have a stomach flu or you're unwell, go to the doctor. I'm not giving you a prescription for Pringles and potato chips and Sprite. That is what, and dry bread, but that is what worked for me. And what, if I'd been able to pop down to my local GP, I would have. That wasn't an option for me over in Bali. It was over within a few days. I was fine. But I just wanted to share it because I think that people have fears that there's like caveats or these big gaps in being recovered. Like, can you go through a traumatic event and still be recovered? Hi, I went through the worst 6 months of my life and never faltered with my eating disorder, ever. I have been physically ill, didn't relapse. I have been so full of anxiety that I didn't have regular hunger cues for months, didn't relapse. I have been able to go through a chronic illness that changes the shape of my body on an hourly basis for the past few years and has totally changed my relationship with my body, its energy levels, how it looks on a, minute to minute basis sometimes. Haven't relapsed. I just want people to not have that expectation of themselves that they get there tomorrow. But I think that there are some definitions of being recovered out there which are all about the behavioral stuff and about a bit of the body mind stuff. But really that 75% of recovery is about learning, and it's mostly about learning about your relationship with yourself and how to take care of yourself and how to trust yourself, that healthy part of you. So I don't walk around in the world paranoid that I'm going to relapse. Not in any of the contexts that I've shared with you today or any others that I can think of. There are no guarantees in life, but I've experienced a lot of life and a lot of the really hard aspects of life the last couple of years. And there is never a question in my mind, or was never a question in my mind, that I wouldn't continue to be recovered. So yeah, always just like to put these out as assurances of what this can look like. I'm not saying my recovered state or life is going to be yours, because I want you to have your own, right? No two recoveries are the same. No two recovered lives are the same. But yeah, just some assurances that you don't have to spend the rest of your life being paranoid. You don't have to spend the rest of your life being your own hall monitor. But it probably is going to take a bit of hall monitoring and being on yourself to get to that point, but that there is something really worthwhile that you are working towards. I hope I see you guys at the Conquer Your Eating Disorder Voice workshop. You are going to be meeting some of our coaches in the coming weeks, our new coaches. Please go and check out the website if you'd like to work with Holly, Romy, or Sophia. Holly is in Byron Bay, Romy is in Germany, but I think that she's at her capacity with Beyond Body clients. And Sophia is in Dubai, formerly from the UK. All amazing. Holly and Sophia are working with under 18s, other demographics as well, but they're happy to work with under 18s. And they are absolutely killing it. So make sure you get into work with them sooner rather than later, because I think they will quite quickly be in waitlist territory like Anne-Claire and I are. We're trying to get as much help out to as many people as possible. So I'm sending you guys a ton of love. I'll see you next week with a podcast episode. Like I said, I wasn't away for any reason other than everything I shared with you today and building a business. Our team literally like quadrupled in the space of like a week. So bear with me. I have my business hat on more than usual these days and looking to hire someone in admin to help me out. But now I'm just rambling. Anyway, guys, much love. Take care. See you next week. Bye.